Greetings from India, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity, Chris, and the entire team. Really appreciate the fact that you guys are going all guns and building out GatherVerse, which is playing such an integral role in creating a global community and initiative when it comes to Metaverse and Web3. And really appreciate the fact that you have bought the GatherVerse Summit here in Asia. So let me start by explaining what is the metaverse. So according to Matthew Ball, which who I consider one of the leading pioneers or thinkers in the space of metaverse. So he says that metaverse is a persistent and interconnected network of 3D virtual worlds that will eventually serve as the gateway to most online experiences and also underpin much of the physical world. So if I had to kind of break it down, physical world where we live in, it's got everything that we need, right from or education or healthcare or banking or governance or work or playing, entertainment. Now the same thing is going to be integrated into the virtual world, and that virtual, and also the economic layer, the Web3, the cryptos, and the NFT. Maybe a decade or two, it'll be that a convergence of a physical and a virtual world. So that's the reason I call it a phygital world. But post that, maybe like a 20 or 30 years down the line, with things like brain computer interface and us being able to map the entire cognitive structure. I think the virtual world or the metaverse is going to be indistinguishable from reality. But that's way further down, so let's not get into that. But yes, I think it's going to be an exciting space, and we've already embarked on the journey. And what that's going to do is that instead of us going to work, the work will come to us. Instead of us going to healthcare, the healthcare will come to us. Instead of us going to the education, and the education will come to us. And I'll give you an example. So my son, who's 7 years old, he was in a physical school, but COVID happened, and then the school itself moved on to an online model, and I think that's what happened for all schools globally. And while doing that, I think we understood the importance of online schooling. And then at that same point in time, there was this startup which understood the opportunity and started India's first online school, and which is transitioning to becoming India's first metaverse school. So we put him on that school, and for the last 2 years it's been a blessing, because what that does is that, like I said, we don't have to go to the school comes to us. He gets up in the morning, sits in front of the computer, and the students and his friends are students from all around India, and also as far off places as Indonesia and other nations which share like the kind of a same time zone. And eventually, when the metaverse comes alive, I think we'll be having these head wearable devices which could be possibly as light as this, and maybe through haptic feedback he'll be able to touch feel this other students who's possibly sitting all over India, maybe around the world, and maybe physically see them in holographic images. So that's what is happening. That's what we're breaking the barrier of physical boundaries. I think what metaverse is going to make it's going to make geography history. So I just give you one example. So according to me, this is metaverse. It's going to be a phygital world where we will transition to in the next few years or this decade, and that's already happening, because if you look at the Gen Z, they are already moved on to the digital world. They exist largely on these social media platforms, on these gaming platforms. The brands have to go where the consumers are. So, the future of education is going to be largely the convergence of a physical and a virtual world, and make education accessible for everyone. People sitting, whether the people sitting out in the urban areas or whether people sitting out in the rural areas, so clearly this technology is the future, and it can help, like I said, not just the education industry, but the same model. Just imagine, it could be there for work, it could be there for healthcare. Instead of us going to the work will come to us. And just imagine that creating the future of work, where we create a hybrid work, that we are working maybe 2 days from office, and the rest is the comfort of a home. We're spending more time with our family. We're not getting stressed out in the travel. So this is the future. But you might say, okay, if that's the future, why there is lack of adoption of this wonderful technology? So let me just get to the challenges of the adoption of metaverse. The adoption challenge is three-pronged. And the largest problem, I think, is the education awareness. I think people do not know about this technology. B, obviously the price points, the technology, the hardware is still very expensive. Whether you're buying the hardware or creating content when it comes to AR, VR, MR is still expensive. And third is obviously the tech stack. It's still not ready. We still have problems of creating a metaverse where we can have hundreds and thousands of concurrent users, because this is a tech problem, because we can have concurrent users of maybe 100, 200 at this point of time. But there are companies such as RP1 and Improbable, which is trying to solve that. And hopefully by next year, maybe we'll have maybe thousands of users. But these are the three largest problems when it comes to the adoption of this technology. And I'm trying to solve this in my own humble way by being a drop in this huge ocean by creating awareness. So I've been a community builder and an evangelist for Metaverse and Web3. It started with virtual reality in 2015. We started as a content studio. We built out our own 16 camera rig. We were too early into the market, and then we used the same prototype to create content. I've directed and produced India's first stereoscopic virtual reality horror short film called Crackle. It's done the festival circuit. It's won the best VR film at the Miami Fear Fest. We built out content for real estate, luxury resorts, and stuff like that. But then we understood that the ecosystem was not sustainable. So to make the ecosystem sustainable, I founded Immersion, which is India's first and largest virtual reality film festival and conference. But even after building that, I realized that a technology which is at a nascent stage, you need to do more. You cannot engage the stakeholders only once a year. How do we engage the stakeholders on a regular basis? And that's how I founded XROM. XROM is a digital news website when it comes to AR, VR, MR, and Metaverse. It's also a marketplace where we sell and rent a virtual reality headset and cameras. We make it accessible for everyone, whether it's businesses or consumers. And I host XROM, which is India's first AR, VR focused podcast. I've interviewed around 140 odd leaders from India and around the world. And then I also host another podcast called The Ones Changing the World, which is India's first future tech meets sustainability podcast. And the reason I do this is because I think creating awareness is such an important key role for nudging the ecosystem when it comes to adoption, where you make information available about what is metaverse, what is Web3, or what is future tech, and how businesses and consumers can leverage it. I think we need more community builders, and even you can do that because you'll get to learn more. You'll become a lifelong learner. So there's an opportunity for you to become a podcaster, you become a blogger, and what it does is that it'll keep you updated. And I'm just going to give you a simple example. Look at Tesla and look at other companies. There is like your maybe BMWs. They spend millions in advertisement. Look at Tesla with Elon Musk. They spend $0 in advertising money, is because Elon Musk communicates directly with its consumers through the channel of social media, because that's what it allows you to do. So he's sort of an evangelist, and he's built his own community. So even companies can do that. So that's an opportunity. So I hope that the more knowledge we create, the larger population will get to know about this technology, wonderful technology, and the adoption problem will happen easily. Let me get to the naysayers, because I'm sure the naysayers are screaming and saying, oh, the metaverse is a problem. It's been around for the longest time and it's not added much value. The Web3, there's so much scam. Just look at FTX and the recent scam which has created a ripple amongst the Web3 industry. Let me bring to your notice, that when you point out about the wrongs of the Web 3.0, I think you need to also look at the traditional finance industry. It's not just the financial industry, that it's your healthcare, it's your education, it's all of your institutions have been largely 200 years old. And here we are in the 21st century, and we need to not just iterate with these small minor changes, but I think we all need to completely reinvent, and relook. And that's what Web 3.0 is doing, and that's what Metaverse is doing. Metaverse is saying, can we build a world which is interoperable, open, which is decentralized? It's so we are asking these deeper questions. And yes, I'm not justifying the scam which happened, which pulled down the entire Web3 industry, FTX exchange. But what I'm trying to say is that your traditional banking industry is also not completely clear. I'll just point out to you what's of the FinCEN files. It's been created by the American government. They've created data of the period from 2000 to 2017 of banks who have been moving dirty money, transactions involving money laundering, terrorism, drug dealing, funding the largest polluting companies of financial fraud around the world, scams and suspicious transactions. And the period of 2000 to 2017, the amount of this transaction is $2.9 trillion. So my humble thing is like, throw a stone if you've not sinned, and look at Web3, look at Metaverse. I'm not saying that everything what of Metaverse and Web 3.0 is right, but I think the ethos behind it is cool. The new bunch of the entrepreneurs are looking at correcting the wrongs, of age-old legacy, traditionally driven organizations. Now, let me talk about Asia. What's been happening in Asia. So there's been some fantastic movements happening in Asia, and I would like to start with obviously Dubai. Dubai has got their own Metaverse strategy going on. They are going gung-ho in investing into Metaverse and Web 3.0. Almost every week there's some kind of event or gathering going on where they raising awareness about the technology. The strategy is, by the next 5 years, they want to create 40,000 jobs to be added, and growth of 5x companies in Dubai. And that's pretty much happening, because I think the other nations who don't understand that, you will have your entrepreneurs and some of the best minds moving out, and that's already happening in India. The WazirX and the Polygons have actually migrated to Dubai because of the ecosystem, and the lesser known nations also. I mean, Thailand, I think, there's this company called Translucia, a 3 billion investment to build out their Metaverse, and they've partnered with an Indian company called Sunova Tech. Also India, we've got Jio, which is amongst the largest telecom companies, and they're working on the mixed reality headset, and their goal is to make this mixed reality device a family device, because unlike your Facebook and your Microsoft, which is looking at targeting either enterprise or the gaming community or the entertainment community, Jio is looking at creating a device which is going to be a family device. And there's some cool startups over here, and there's so much opportunity in building out the Metaverse, and India obviously is going to play a huge role, because I think we've got a huge we've been exporting our engineers all the while, but now there's that reverse migration happening, because people are understanding there's so much opportunity over here, and yes, we've got a huge database of Metaverse and Web 3.0 developers, and possibly next couple of decades, maybe we'll be the hub of the people, the engineers who building out the Metaverse. If there are startups, entrepreneurs who would want to reach out to me and figure out partnership opportunity in building a Metaverse ecosystem, please reach out to me. Like I said, I also run a marketplace where I sell and rent out these hardwares and accessories when it comes to AR, VR, MR. So if there's any companies out there who want to sell their products here in India, please reach out to me. If there are companies who would want to have a base in India and would want to connect to the ecosystem, the investor ecosystem, or would want to set up their offices and maybe leverage the market opportunity here in India, please reach out to me. So far, our world has been extremely hierarchical driven. It's very centralized, and I think the narratives have been sold by the 4% of the population which runs the entire world. And the fact is that the 4% of the global population owns 96% of the entire global wealth, and that's how disturbingly unequal our world is. And here we have the opportunity with the metaverse and Web3 and future tech to leverage these tools and make sure that the future that we build is more equitable and more inclusive and more tolerant. And for the politics, I would like to say that so far the politics have been where they divide us. I hope that the politics comes and unite us, because there's so much power of a China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, South Korea, all coming together and creating this beautiful virtual world. Because here we are building out a virtual world which will be without the government, right? We won't have the top-down hierarchical government, because and here we are in the virtual world. I think we'll be building a world which will be without the centralized banking structure. It will be decentralized finance. So and eventually maybe the virtual world, maybe we'll have DAOs, digital autonomous organizations, where the community will play a role. So it's such an exciting period to be alive in, and it's I think we should all stand up and play a role, because for the first time I think everybody's got the tool. Even a common man like me has got a tool to play a role in building that future. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and please reach out to me if you think that we can partner or build something together.